So we'll start. I'll continue with the gear manufacturing. Now regarding that modeling assignment, you can continue with the clapper box and tool post. So by this time now you know what is gear manufacturing is and what are the different methods of manufacturing. So gears can be manufactured by mm, molding, or here molding means casting, or it can be manufactured by plastic molding, that is injection molding, or it can be done by abrasive water jet, or it can be done by machining also. Machining mainly means milling, gear hobbing, gear shaping. That is what we saw. So will be on gear hobbing and gear shaping. Gear hobbing and gear shaping. So working principle, as I told, working principle. What is the working principle? That two gears, they are meeting each other on pitch circle diameter, and they are rotating with some fixed velocity. They are rotating with fixed velocity, and the point of contact is called as pitch point. Then there are some advantages of gear shaping, and two advantages that gear shaping is used for manufacturing cluster gears, and secondly, gear shaping can be used for internal teeth cutting. Internal teeth cutting. Then it has disadvantages that it cannot be used for one man one wheel. Return stroke goes idle. Then helical gears, the setting takes little higher time, but that cannot be called as a disadvantage on any, whether it is gear hopping or gear shaping. It will take some time for helical gear setting. The main disadvantage is that it cannot be used for one man one wheel. That is the main disadvantage. Then again, gear hopping, CNC gear hopping, the principle of operation is same. Advantage is gear hopping. Another advantage is gear hopping can be used for one man one wheel. It is the biggest advantage of gear hopping as compared to your gear shaping. As compared to your gear shaping. Then disadvantage of gear hopping is that it cannot be used for manufacturing internal gears. So for internal gears, normally we go for gear shaping. Second disadvantage is that it cannot be used for manufacturing cluster gears. For cluster gear, again we have to go for gear shaping. So these are the two disadvantages. These are the different models, CNC models, that you don't bother. In CNC gear rack, this is not important from examination point of view. Only what you have to represent, remember that basic principle, that rack represents the teeth of the cutter. Rack represents the teeth of the gear, teeth of the cutter, and it reciprocates, and it reciprocates. Then gear finishing and super finishing processes. So gear finishing can be done by gear shaving. Now, what I mean by gear finishing, that it is gear teeth shaving, gear teeth grinding, gear teeth lapping, and gear teeth honing. Then, out of these four processes, your gear teeth shaving, that is the first process, is used. The other three processes being very expensive and being very slow are obsolete. Are obsolete. So only gear teeth shaving is used. So gear teeth shaving, it is the finishing process of where the gear shaving cutter, it is in mesh with the gear which is already cut. Remember, gear teeth shaving, it's a finishing process. It cannot cut the teeth on the blank. So it is used for finishing the teeth which are already cut, which are already cut. Again here, gear teeth shaving, what you have to remember, that shaving cutter is positively driven, then gear which is to be shaved rotates because the gear shaving cutter rotates. So the gear or the workpiece gear is not positively driven. It rotates because of the gear shaving cutter. Yes, then there are different advantages like it improves the surface finish. It will correct some errors in the helix angle and the tooth profile, that is involute or cycloidal. It can improve to some extent the distortion caused by the heat treatment. And this is the popular model for gear shaving. Gear teeth grinding, again, it's a very good process. You get very good accuracy and correction of geometrical accuracy. But only problem is it is very expensive and the machine is expensive, grinding wheels are expensive, then the process is slow. So that's why it results in low production capacity. Nowadays it is obsolete. Only in research institutes like BARC or IITs you will find this. Again, examination point of view also, it is not important. Only you have to remember that there is a process, uh, ear teeth grinding, ear teeth coning, ear teeth lapping, which is used for finishing the teeth. Again, ear teeth lapping is not used because it is slow process. It is not that expensive. Ear teeth grinding. Ear teeth grinding is the most expensive process. You get very good accuracy in dimensions. Ear teeth lapping में again some sort of imperfections also can be corrected in gear teeth lapping, but it is slow process. That is the disadvantage of gear teeth grinding, gear teeth lapping, and gear teeth honing. Again, gear teeth grinding, gear teeth lapping, and gear teeth honing are not important from examination point of view. Gear teeth honing is also gear teeth, but time consuming, very slow process. What happens here? You are finishing the teeth one by one, one teeth at a time. That's why it takes time. Whereas in gear teeth shaving, all the teeth are finished hmm, at a time, and that's why it is fast. So that was a small presentation on gear teeth manufacturing. Yeah, Aniket, are you there? Hello, Aniket. Hello, are you there, Aniket? Okay, we'll continue our journey. Now, the notes, which is important. This I have taken from textbook of production engineering by T.N. Rao. This will be useful for So this is what is useful from your examination point of view. Right now, what are the so types of hobbing? One is axial hobbing, then another is radial hobbing, and third is tangential hobbing. So out of these three, this axial hobbing is more popular. Axial hobbing is more popular. So what happens in axial hobbing? Are you there, Sahil? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The screen is visible, no?
Yes,
You
sir.
have some connectivity. Yeah.
Yes, so now it became visible. Go for it.
Yeah. So what happens in axial hobbing? See now this hob is rotating and this is the gear blank. So hob is fed from either from top to down or from down to up. So if it is from top to down like this case, then it is called as the conventional hobbing. And if it is fed from down to up, then it is called the climb hobbing. So this is your actual hobbing, which is more commonly used. And if you can see this, and if you have understood it very well, it is clear that it cannot be used for cluster gears because cluster gear may what happens? If this is one gear, and the next gear will be just adjacent to this, and then another gear will be just adjacent to this. So if you want to perform gear hobbing will have approach and over travel. So when it overshoots, so that time the it is going to dash the next gear. So that's why it cannot be used for cluster gear. So gear shaping is the answer only to cut the cluster gears. And in case of this is the picture for radial hobbing. This B. This is what is your radial hobbing. So in radial hobbing, the hob is rotating, your blank is rotating. Now hob is fed in the radial direction like this, slowly, 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 slowly. So if you are using this radial hobbing process, then to some extent you can cut cluster gear. But again, you have to take care that is when the hob is being fed inside, you have to take care that another gear uh, is not cut. Another gear is not cut. Then next method is tangential hobbing. So in case of tangential, this is a picture for tangential hobbing. Tangential hobbing is not in use. Now what happens in tangential hobbing? Full depth of cut is taken. Full depth of cut is taken, and the hob is moved in tangential direction. The hob is moved in tangential direction to the black. Tangential direction to the black. So these were the three methods of gear hobbing which has been explained, which has been taken from P.N. Rao. So axial, radial, and tangential hobbing. These are the advantages of gear hobbing clearly given. So you can refer this in disadvantages. Enough C, here it is. Enough space has to be there in component configuration for hob approach and over travel. So that's why it cannot be used for cluster gears. Then as I showed you the images, different images like say bevel gear, helical gears. So bevel gear generating, for bevel gear generating, you have special, machines. Those are called as the bevel gear generators. So again, in bevel gear, there are different types. You have straight bevel gear, you have helical bevel gears, you have spiral bevel gear, you have hypoid bevel gear, and so on. So this is what is your straight bevel gear is. Straight bevel gear. Now, in case of straight bevel gear, this is what is your gear blank is, and this is a bevel gear generator in which your tool reciprocates up and down. Tool is reciprocating up and down. The full depth of cut is taken here. Full depth of cut is here. And if you have noticed, uh, the blank is tilted at an angle. The blank is tilted at an angle. And that angle is called as root angle. Hmm. See, bevel gears, there is a, if you remember the terminology, or if you're familiar with the terminology of the bevel gear, there is one term which is called as the root angle. So the blanks has to be placed at a root angle, and obviously the blank is rotating and the tool is reciprocating, hmm, as well as rotating also. So this was your straight bevel gear generator, not from the examination important. Then you have spiral bevel gear generator, which is used for hypoid gears and which is used for crown and that uh, engine and crown wheel manufacturing, hmm, which are used in differential gearbox, and differential gearbox is generally used in automobiles. So this particular page is important from your short note examination point of view. Similarly, you have gear shaping. Again, this is taken from same, that is a textbook of production engineering by P. N. Rao. So you can reproduce this in your examination. Again, the principle is gear shaping ka you have a gear blank which is rotating, and you have gear shaping cutter which is rotating as well as reciprocating, and gear shaping cutter is fed. The object of gear manufacturing remains the same. That is, the teeth of the cutter represent the teeth of the rack. And remember, everywhere the module should be same. That is, suppose if I am going to cut a gear, four module gear, then cutter should also have a four module, four module. So generally in gear shaping we use ro- rotary pinion type of cutter. Nobody uses rack cutter. Nobody rack cutter. So we always use rotary pinion type cutter in gear shaping. So as you can see, gear shaping cutters are useful for manufacturing cluster gears. Useful for manufacturing cluster gears where the cutter reciprocates up and down, and this stroke can be controlled, hmm, within plus minus zero point 0.5. So even if there is a gear which is located at a distance of 3 mm, see there will be a gap of 3 mm at least. So the stroke, as the stroke can be controlled within zero point 0.5 or say 1 mm overshoot, it can easily cut your cluster gear, and that is the most advantage of gear shaping process. This is what the internal mechanism of the gear shaping, that is the shaping cutter, that is this is the shaping cutter and the gear blank, they are linked to each other. They are linked to each other through change gears. So in case of helical gears, you have to calculate these change gears so that the helix angle can be generated. Helix angle can be generated. Remember, gear hobbing and gear shaping cannot be used for bevel gear. They are used only for per gear and helical gear. So that is the limitation of this process. So you can very well draw this figure for gear shaping in your examination. I have already uploaded this, so you can go through this advantages and limitations. Limitation is only that as comparatively it is slow because there is a cutting stroke and return stroke. So in return stroke also some time is spent. uh, as in return stroke there is no cutting action. That motion is waste motion. That motion is waste motion. Here it is shown how to cut the helical gear. So in case of helical gear, the teeth. See, this is what is your cutter teeth. The cutter is tilted at an angle. Cutter is tilted at an angle so that the helical angle can be generated. Helical angle can be generated. This is the gear hopping. Actually, uh, you have to go through this page first and then read for the next page, which I just showed earlier. So with this, the gear teeth process is completed. Gear teeth process is completed. So now in this module 3, we have finishing processes. So let's go for the finishing processes. So I have completed this thread rolling and hopping. I have completed gear hopping, shaping, thread cutting, etc. has been completed. Now we'll go for the finishing process. Now remember these finishing processes. Remember these finishing processes. These are for finishing your workpiece. These are for finishing your workpiece and not for the gear teeth finishing. So we are talking in general. We are talking in general. uh, That is how to finish the workpiece. This is not meant for gear teeth finishing. Gear teeth finishing we discussed. We discussed gear teeth shaving, gear teeth lapping, gear teeth grinding, and gear teeth honing. Whereas what we are going to discuss now, that is for finishing the complete workpiece. That is outside diameter, inside diameter, thickness, etc. etc. Different profiles. So what are the different processes for that? So let me zoom it. So this is the short note which will be useful for your examination, that I will show you later on. First we'll go through the presentation. presentation. So in finishing we have different processes. So in these processes we have the very first process which is commonly used is the grinding process. Again, I am telling that this is not gear teeth grinding, but this is just a normal grinding which we see in our workshop. Then you have lapping process. Then you have honing process. Then you have super finishing process. These are the processes which are used for finishing your outside diameters, inside diameters, and thickness and profiles. Out of these, the grinding process is used most commonly. So in grinding, again you have various types, like you have external grinding, you have internal grinding, you have centerless grinding, you have in between center grinding. So many processes. Now remember, grinding can also be done on lathe. On lathe. What you have to do here on lathe, that workpiece is already mounted between center. Now instead of single point tool which we use for turning, instead of that you have to mount. That is, you have to remove that tool. That is, you have to remove the tool post. Tool post completely you have to remove, and then you have to mount motorized grinding wheel on the tool post, because the grinding wheel has to rotate, isn't it? And there is no provision for rotation of the tool on lathe machine. So that comes as an accessory, small motorized grinding wheel. It comes as an accessory which you have to mount it on the tool post. That is, you have to remove the existing four-way tool post which is on the lathe machine, and in place of that you have to mount it so that now you can perform the grinding operation also. Hmm. Again, same thing is for the internal grinding also. Internal external grinding can be done on lathe machine easily. Hmm. But since every time you have to change, this cutting tool and again mount this, grinding wheel. Uh, that's why normally nobody does, uh, grinding on the lathe machine. That is one thing. And second thing is this grinding, powder, that is abrasives. It has a cutting action, so that abrasive definitely it will fall on the machine on the guideway. So it has an action of erosion. So it will erode away your guideways, machine guideways, and which will in turn spoil the accuracy. So that's why we avoid grinding on lathe machine. Hmm. And grinding machines are not that expensive. Hmm. So we go for grinding machines. So grinding machines, the guideways are designed like that. Plus there is uh, blowers, or a dust collector, which has a strong vacuum, which collects your, abrasive powder. Hmm. That vacuum, that dust collector, are just mounted on the top of the abrasive wheel, so that it doesn't allow abrasive powder to fall on the machine. So abrasive matlab काटना. So you have small, abrasive grains, small abrasive grains, which are used for cutting the workpiece. Remember, grinding process is slow process. It is not as fast as your lathe or your milling or your shaping or slotting. But the advantage of grinding is two advantages you have to remember, that it can cut the hard surfaces, hard workpieces. Your normal cutting tools, high speed drills or your carbide tools, they cannot cut. They cannot cut. So grinding is the only solution. That is one thing. That is, it is helpful for cutting. It is helpful for grinding the workpieces. And second is it gives extremely good finish, extremely good finish, which cannot be obtained on your normal lathe. Hmm. Only on CNC lathe you can obtain the finish as good as grinding. But still, grinding machines gives better surface finish than your CNC lathe. So this better surface finish is required whenever there are sliding motions, like say cylinder piston. Hmm. Whenever there are sliding motion, male and female, so that time there has to be very good smooth surfaces, because even a small, ridge can obstruct the motion. So that's why wherever there are sliding motions, the surfaces has to be ground and even lapped or even surface super finished. Hmm. See, in finishing process, first is grinding, then next is honing, then next is lapping, and next is super finishing. This is in the increasing order of finish. That is super finish. All processes are used for giving good finish. But if you compare, then super finishing gives the highest surface finish. उसके नीचे उसके नीचे आपका लैपिंग, उसके नीचे होनिंग, एंड इसके नीचे ग्राइंडिंग. The limitation of honing is it can be used only for finishing the holes, holes, that is bores. Generally, honing cannot be used for finishing the outside diameters. So it has, now what we are talking, this abrasive process is of the grinding process. So it has many small cutting tools, that is for the grains or the abrasive particles. which are hard and sharp, hmm, and they are bonded. Bonded मतलब small small grains they are चिपकाते हैं हम लोग, हाँ, but not with the camelin base. There is a separate process of bonding. Hmm. Then you get a very good surface finish. Then you get good tolerances, that is size. Generally, in grinding, you get, you can control the tolerances of 20 micron or even up to 5 microns. 5 microns tolerances can be obtained in grinding. Then super finishing can be for 1 micron and 2 micron. Hmm. Generally, the material removal rate is not good. Huh? These are slow process. Hmm. But the biggest advantage is surface finish and it can cut the hard material. So that's why once you do the heat treatment, then you have no choice but to go for this grinding process. So huh, what are the abrasive processes, different abrasive processes? So this is what is important from examination point of view also. Hmm. First is grinding, then second is honing, then third is lapping and super finishing. So these are in the increasing order of the surface finish. In the increasing order of the surface finish. Like all, see, again and again I am repeating, all the processes gives you good surface finish, but super finishing gives you highest surface finish. And all are there, all these processes are there in the syllabus as well as from the examination point of view also it is important. What we just saw in the beginning of the lecture, that was for the gear teeth finishing. Hmm. And for gear teeth finishing we use gear shaving. Hmm. And gear shaving cannot be used for finishing outside diameter, so that gear shaving you cannot see here. Hmm. So the most important, see, this is the final process in production of the parts. Hmm. That is after grinding, it goes only for the inspection and for the assembly. Hmm. So you have to be, uh, you have to take, you know, or you have to be very careful in handling the ground component. You have to handle in such a way that the finish is not damaged, or there should not be any score marks, or there should not be any scratches on the workpiece. Then it gives you good accuracy and good finish, surface finish. So this is used for, what are the applications? Is used for ball roller bearings, for pistons, for valves, for cylinders, for cams. Hmm. That is, cams are used for to and fro motions. uh, And gear teeth grinding is used for finishing gear teeth. Then pins and for dies. In case of dies means your injection molds, cavities, hmm, and punch plates and the inserts. This process can be used. Now, how is the mechanism? So this is workpiece. Now this diagram you have to study carefully. Out of this first diagram is important from your examination point of view. So now this process is called as the cylindrical grinding. So look at this here. The workpiece is rotating. Grinding wheel also rotating. See, remember, grinding wheel must rotate. Grinding wheel must rotate. Otherwise, only there will be a line contact. So there will be a wear uh, of the grinding wheel across the line. So if it is rotating, the entire surface of the grinding wheel will be used. So grinding wheel is also rotating, which is not shown here, and workpiece is also rotating. At the same time, grinding wheel reciprocates in this direction. Either grinding wheel can reciprocate or your table can reciprocate. Hmm. In most of the cases in grinding machine, the the workpiece reciprocates. Grinding wheel remains stationary. Hmm, it only rotates only rotates. Another example is this is called the this B and C. These are called as the form grinding. So here we are grinding a taper surface. We are grinding a taper surface or conical surface. So here what has been done? The grinding wheel has been given a taper. So grinding wheel has been dressed. Dressing means see once the grinding wheel is used for say 1 hour, then it becomes dull. Like suppose in our kitchen, if you are using a knife, uh, if you use it for 15 days, then it becomes blunt. So you have to regrind it, isn't it? Hmm. Or you have to throw. So same thing is after doing a work of say 1 hour or 2 hour, uh, it becomes dull. So you have to sharpen it again. So that is what is called the dressing. So here the grinding wheel is dressed at an angle, or formed at an angle, hmm, and it reciprocates like this. So this taper can be cut on the workpiece. Then another example is your form grinding. So here again the grinding wheel has been dressed, that is the form which we want on the workpiece has been given on the grinding wheel. So this particular forms to the grinding wheel is given by a tool which is called the diamond tool, isn't it? It is called the diamond tool or diamond dresser. Diamond dresser. So a diamond dresser is used to give the form to this wheel, to this wheel. Alright. Then this is fourth application, that is for you know grinding the threads, for grinding the threads. So the grinding wheel is very delicate. At the same time, the grinding wheel has been shaped according to the thread shapes. According to the thread shapes. Hmm. Again, grinding wheel is rotating, workpiece is rotating, and the workpiece is moved in this direction. So this is called the thread grinding. Thread grinding. Thread grinding. Why do you need to do thread grinding? Because many times, or sometimes rather, not many times, threads need to be heat treated. So once you heat treat the threads also, then it becomes oxidized, isn't it? So how to finish that? So for that you have to go for thread grinding. See in heat treatment, that is in hardening operation, the surface become oxidized and it also get distorted. So that's why we need to finish this after heat treatment or after hardening. We need to finish the workpiece. Remember. So we what we do generally we keep a grinding allowance of 0.3 or a stock, of 0.3 for grinding. You cannot keep 1 mm or 2 mm because grinding is very slow process. So if you keep 1 mm stock, then it will take lot of time. Alright. Then this is you are grinding now a concave shape. Yeah, a concave shape here, a concave shape. This type of applications are very less in research organization. Only you will see this like TIFR, BARC, NASA. Then here now, this is you are cutting. You are grinding, not cutting, grinding, because you are finishing the slots. This cutting has been done by milling operation. Then it goes for the hardening, and then we are finishing with the help of the grinding. So here thin abrasive discs are mounted on the mandrail, and this obviously is rotating and it is fed into the workpiece. It is fed into the workpiece. So all the slots are ground simultaneously. Then this is your internal grinding. Internal grinding. See, internal grinding is very delicate. Delicate because why it is delicate? Because there is a limitation on the grinding wheel. Like suppose now here my shaft diameter is say 25 mm. I can employ or I can use a grinding wheel of diameter 300 also. I can use a grinding wheel of diameter 4 inch also, 6 inch, 8 inch. There is no limitation. But if I want to do the internal grinding, then grinding wheel has to go inside the bore of the workpiece. So if my ID internal diameter is say 25 mm, then of grinding wheel should be less than 25, maybe 20 millimeter. If I want to grind ID of say 10 mm, then my grinding wheel has to be still lesser than that, maybe 8 mm. So if my grinding wheel is 8 mm, the grinding wheel is mounted on a shaft. So what happens to the shaft? If this is 8 mm, then the shaft has to be 4 mm, isn't it? So imagine a 4 mm shaft, how delicate it will be, isn't it? So Ecto, it is doing ID grinding, so you can't see also inside what is happening. Even if a small chip, if the chips are not removed properly, uh, can damage your grinding wheel or can break the shaft. Because it is slender, 4 mm. Remember, 4 mm shaft diameter, and grinding wheel is 8 mm. Hmm. So it is very delicate, and shafts can break easily. So you have to go very very carefully. Very very small cut you have to take. Small cut means you have to take a cut of 5 micron, 5 micron, and that's why generally we don't go ID grinding. We don't do ID grinding, hmm, whose bores are less than say 25 mm. We normally prefer to do ID grinding having bores more than 25 mm. huh? Then what happens if you want to grind, the bores which are say 10 mm or say 6 mm or 8 mm. So for that we have different process, which is called as the jig bore, jig boring. So if the bore is very small, then we go for the jig boring process, and not for this process. So what are the types of the grinding? So this is what I explained you, the different mechanisms and the types of grinding. There are two major types of grinding. One is offhand grinding and precision grinding. Offhand grinding मतलब हम लोग हाथ में, you must have seen in our college, in my job, this or the students who are working on different projects or in teams, you might have seen use these flexible grinder. So that is what is called as the offhand grinding. And precision grinding means grinding with the help of the machines, like cylindrical grinding machines, internal grinding machines, and so on. That is what is the precision grinding machines. So these are the two major types of the grinding. Hmm. How are the grinding wheels? How do the grinding wheels look like? Again, every slide is important. So far, whatever we discussed from examination point of view, this is a normal straight grinding wheel. Hmm. This is your cylindrical grinding wheel. So what is the difference between this straight and cylindrical? Here the width of the grinding wheel is more. Hmm. This is the cup, normal जो हमारा चाय का cup, hmm, cup type of grinding. So every wheel has specific applications. This is your flaring cup. Then this is your depressed cutter. So this type of cutters are used for your grinding slots, and this is your mounted type of grinding wheels. So this has a ball, at the end, has a ball at the end. So normally these type of wheels are used on your hand grinder, hmm, your hand grinding machines. As I give an example of project this kind of. So it's I think it's time. Hmm. So if you have any questions, I'll take the questions. Any questions? Otherwise, you can enjoy your break.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you so much.